Cleveland's an old school team in my eyes, meaning they've been embarrassed. They have lost. They've got scabs. They're hard boiled, and now they think they can win. So, greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Keith Adams. And on today's Wind Up Wednesday edition, in segment one, we go deep in the NBA and give advice to stars. Some former MVPs need our help. In segment two, we talk world of college basketball, and again, giving more advice because stuff keeps happening. And in segment three, we're going to really give advice to the WNBA because the women's season is starting, and man, you've got an opportunity in front of you. So we want to flush that out. So let's jump to it. In the Eastern Conference, we've got Cleveland, Boston clearly ahead of everybody else. And then we've got the Knicks, Hornets, Pacers, and Pistons as the top six. On the outside looking in, Miami, Nets, Bulls, and Magic. Still early in the season. Will, anything in the East catch your eye this week?
Indiana they're frauds. Indiana got some frauds. Halliburton, I
You
believe
need
it
to
was
get off
last week.
wrestling and get back to playing.
Dude, last week the dude had a zero everything. He had a zero double, a zero triple. I don't even know. He had a zero everything. The dude had as many stats as I did in a game. And you're supposed to be a premier player. Then last night they lose to Charlotte. He had 6 points. Indiana, they're not gonna win anything with this kid. This kid is not. He can't be your second best player. Even if Siakam is out there, he's not. He can't be. He has to be a third at best. The kid is not going to get them, and I think Indiana is going to continue to slide, and they're going to slide right out that top six within the next couple of weeks. And I think the
Yeah.
Knicks are going to figure themselves out and get a little bit more consistent, get a little better. Cat's been playing pretty well. Jalen Brunson is not playing very well at all.
Well, he got
He's not
paid. You know the rules?
Oh yeah. He got the bag. You see,
You know the
the
rules?
bag is too heavy, so now he
You know
can't
the
move as fast as you
rules?
know. Last year he was an MVP candidate. I wouldn't even say he's top 15 right now in the NBA. So they have to clean it up. They have some guys to pick it up. But again, this is a long season, and we'll see what happens. But Cleveland's looking good. I'll tell you what.
As we said in the group chat, and we're going to say all year, there's things we have to talk about every week because that's what y'all want to hear about. But I'm going to tell you now, and I'm going to tell you the rest of the daggum season. Cleveland and Boston will be 1, 2, or 3. And then once you get in the playoffs, there's a process you go through, and Cleveland's an old school team in my eyes, meaning they've been embarrassed. They have lost. They've got scabs. They're hard boiled, and now they think they can win. So yeah, we'll talk about the Knicks, Pacers, and Coach Johnson last week told you, and he's right. Pistons aren't a bad team. So we'll go through, but look at who we're not talking about. We're not talking about Milwaukee, and we're not talking about the Sixers, and we'll get to that shortly. But in the Western Conference, home of the injuries, we've got, as of right now, Phoenix, Oklahoma City, Golden State, Minnesota, Denver, Memphis. Outside looking in, Clippers, Rockets, Mavs, and the Lakers. Sorry, George. Anything catch your eye this week in the West? For me, it's only injuries.
The Phoenix. We expected Phoenix to have a good start, but traditionally the three stars are always injured. Brad Beal, Booker, KD. I mean, it's the regular season, right? KD is hurt now. Don't get me wrong. Bill will be hurting a little bit. Don't worry, in a couple of weeks because now his usage is going up because now he has to play harder with KD. And then it'll be just Booker who's going to mess up his calf, and then they're kind of back where they're at. Oklahoma City is looking great. Young legs run free.
Yes,
You know,
indeed.
that's how we do it. Um, Memphis, again, people are not. I don't think Ja Morant hits the weight room. I honestly believe he's a amazing basketball player. I think he works on his skill set, but for the injuries that he has are just like, dude, how are you not for the way you play? How do you not prepare your body for that? If you're going to go to the lane against a 7-foot guy and if you're trying to dunk on guys, and if that's what you're going to do, prepare your body. Look at Derrick Rose. When we look at Derrick Rose was strong. You know what I'm saying? He was flying through the lane. John Morant doesn't. And I think they're going to be another thing where it's going to be John Morant's going to be injured, Desmond Bain is going to be injured, Jared Jackson going to be injured, back and forth in different ways, and that's where they're going to be until they figure things out. But that's what it is. I think we're still surprised that San Antonio is still kind of like where they're at. Wemby is amazing, an amazing player, but this team is just not getting better. Is it because Pop is sick and he's not on the bench anymore? And I hope we're praying that everything is okay with him. But I'm ready for San Antonio to
Mm.
take that step. I mean, if we're talking about generational players, first year LeBron was in the playoffs and he just barely missed it his rookie year. Carmelo, first year in the playoffs. Anthony Edwards. As soon, this dude was not, he was top two, if not the best team last year. I'm not seeing that Wemby is really making his team better yet.
Okay. All right. So our story of the week: two former MVPs are having trouble, and I'm glad I got my captain here to help give advice. So first of all, let's talk about Joel and me. He's already a part of the 65 game club. And what that is for new listeners is to be a part of awards, you have to play at least 65 games. And most players these days don't make 65 games. So should be interesting in terms of postseason awards. And then he made the comments earlier this year about not playing in back to back games. Then we had the reporter situation. And first, can't put your hands on people, but can't put your hands on people. Well, why'd you make an article personal and not professional? So you've got a lot going on, and the Sixers aren't winning games. Any advice, Captain Joel Embiid?
This is where you actually look at your team, and you have to fight through. There's no quick solution for them. There's no somebody we're going to bring in or somebody who's going to change the culture. This is the culture what it is right now. You know, Maxey is now injured. Paul George is playing like 75% coming back from injury. There's no consistency. I think Nick Nurse, yeah, Nick Nurse is the coach. So that's when now you have to coach. Sorry, like now you have to coach. You don't have your MVP, you don't have your stars. Now you have to coach. Now you have to be creative with your rotations. Now you have to know guys and be in tune with the game and say, "Oh, I need to put this guy in. I need to put this guy in." So we'll see what happens with Nick Nurse because again, you don't have the worst roster on the East. You should be able to win games, but if you're just not coaching, if you're just not putting, now you got to coach. Now you get paid just like everybody else did, right? So now you got to get coached. So I'm just kind of disappointed for a guy who went and won a championship that he can't get this team to rally behind them, to rally, to win some games. It's a rough patch right now for Philly.
As of this taping, Philly has one win. All right.
Yes.
So to close out, we've got some advice for Giannis. So first of all, Doc Rivers is your coach, and as much as I like Glenn Rivers as a player, been underwhelmed with Doc Rivers as a coach. You also have Chris Middleton sideline, and Dame time is no time right now, and the buzzards are circling in terms of trade rumors. If you're sitting there with Giannis next to the locker, as you've done with some talented yet volatile personalities, what's Will Cotton saying to Giannis right now?
Man, if you don't want to be here, then just be straight up and tell people that you don't want to be here. Don't waffle and do all this s be like just keep it real. Everybody knows that you don't want to be here. Your wife has said you don't want to be here openly. You know what I'm saying? And you said you don't want to be here. And you know, you can't continue to do things that you do and no take any kind of responsibility of it. You got two coaches fired. You hold every nobody blames you for that. They should, but nobody did. You wanted Dame. Oh yeah, trade for him. We want him. I need Dame. Da 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 da. It's still not working. It's still not working. In fact, it's even worse Dame give him a pair of sneakers, which are Adidas, and Giannis is like, "I'm gonna wear these. I'm gonna wear these." You think Nike wants to hear that? You think Nike wants to hear that Adidas' star gave his shoes and you want to play, and that's a competitor? At some point, I think Giannis is running away from responsibility and accountability. I think he is not really saying like, "This is on me." And until that happens, they're just going to be, Chris Middleton. Oh my gosh, they should have got rid of him 2 years ago. He can't be. You can't be the third. And the one guy that you do leave, the first guy that you do get rid of, Holiday, he goes and he wins the championship. So I think at the best thing, man, if my advice for Giannis is he needs to step up. He needs to really be the leader that he is. Don't hide behind. I don't speak English very well. You speak English very well, my friend. Your
Especially
commercials are.
on the first and the 15th.
Oh yeah, yeah. So, dude, go there and be and they're not injured. Dame's not injured. Giannis is not injured. Lopez is healthy. Bobby Portis is healthy. You have the core players are healthy. Go and get some wins. Go and get some wins. And Giannis needs to be the leader and act like the leader because right now he's acting like I don't know what's going on, man. I'm just playing basketball. That's unfortunate.
And as of this taping, Milwaukee has 2 wins, and it's something we like to say on the show often. It rarely ends well. So with that, in segment 2, we're going to talk men's college basketball, and we're going to keep giving advice to some coaches and some players. We'll be right back on the iCoaches Podcast. This is Dr. Keith Adams, president of the CKA Safe Project, with a question for you. Are you passionate about supporting student athletes? If so, then become an official member of the CKA Safe Project and make a difference today. With your membership, you'll be able to help us provide essential academic and athletic support to underserved communities nationwide. Join us in empowering student athletes to achieve their full potential, both on and off the field. Together, we can build a brighter future through education and sports. Visit ckasafeproject.org and choose your membership level now. $25 is a bronze level membership, $50 is a silver level membership, and $100 is a gold level membership. Be a part of the change. Become a member of the CKA Safe Project today. Welcome back to the iCoaches Podcast in segment 2. No need for a top 10. Games are just going on. So our stories of the week, dealing with self-created problems. Let's start with Auburn, Will. The Auburn men's basketball team had an issue where they had to turn around a flight due to horseplay on the airplane, and then they go out and win against the Houston Cougars last week. Bruce Pearl is not known for being a disciplinarian. In this age of NIL and the transfer portal, what advice are you giving Bruce Pearl?
Not every transfer is a good transfer. If you're not a coach who is focusing on the what's I was thinking, if you're not the culture, if you're just bringing whoever if with skill set and you're not saying like, man, this kid, why did you leave the last joint? Oh, he got in a fight with his teammates. Oh, he was arguing with the coach or da 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 da. You're gonna bring those energy to your program, you know. And if you didn't, I don't know if you saw it, coach, but I was going all over on the X or Twitter. They were playing, I forgot what team they were playing, but they were whooping. It was like 75-25, and these guys were like pulling threes and dash, all the dancing. There was one player who was going to the one spot every time and they were looking him off. And he avenged and he was physically disgusted. He would put his, you grab your short, put your head down and walk back, put your arms and things like that. One, Bruce Pearl, why did you keep that man in the game? If you can see his body language, why did you keep him in the game? I would have taken him out the game. I said, look, man, if you're not going to play, if you're not going to be energetic about what's going on, we're a team, we're winning. If you're upset because you're not getting shots, go have a seat. I can bring somebody else to do that stuff. But they consistently let this kid run down the court, be looked off, and then he didn't kill it. When they when I, if by the at the end of the game, I'd have turned him and say, look, there's going to be some ugly games where you're not going to get any shots. This is a long season. Don't let this be, what you're going to be. You're going to get a lot of shots where we need you to win. He didn't do that. It overflowed into the game. It overflowed to the locker room. It flowed into the plane, and that's where it overflowed. He needs to be the manager of the team and the leader that he is, and he can't just sit back and be like, "Oh yeah, well, it's a little scuffle." No, say it what it is. Say it what it is, because I've never coached, and I don't know if I beat nobody by 50 points and I'm getting in fights with teammates. That's unheard of. Who won by 50? Who's upset?
Yes. And the fact that they had to return the plane, none of that sounds good. I believe they were two backup players, so I don't know if we'll see them on the roster anymore. But moving on, there's no sunshine in Florida right now. Florida men's basketball coach Todd Golden, sorry, Will, when it rains, it pours. He has acknowledged an ongoing school inquiry and said he was considering, quote, defamation claims. That tends not to work out well. He
Mm-hmm.
is now working with an attorney, and his statement came out after the school newspaper, and they always seem to get it right. Said that they were investigating allegations of sexual harassment, sexual exploitation, stalking, cyber stalking multiple women, including students. All right, Will, you're giving advice to your school, man, that you like. And this is discipline in the age of NIL and the transfer portal. How are you handling this?
You gotta let him go.
You
I
got to let
think.
them go?
I think you're talking about. Yeah, I think you. I think I mean.
Due process, social studies, walking
Yeah,
through and
yeah.
blah,
Due
blah.
process. Due process.
Are we
You know,
suspending with pay or we're
suspend.
aware of
I
the
think
allegations?
suspend. I think you suspend with pay.
Hmm.
Suspend with pay, and figure and do the right thing. Like you said, get the information. Once you can verify anything, then he's canceled his contract. He's already done in what he's already done in that way. He's already, so like you said, give it some time. The process, and again, if they're electronic, messaging, if there's stings, they'll find it. It's the internet. This is
There's
the
no
internet that
delete button in cyberspace, as Will
the
Cotton tells me.
internet lives forever. There's no delete. There's no incognito browser that people believe. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think it will be a long investigation. I think it's short enough that they can, that he can say, okay, well, we're gonna, suspend you for a little bit with the pay, just because, we can't prove anything. But as soon as it comes out, they're gonna say you need to quit, or we're gonna fire you. It depends on what you want, and that's your options.
All
So I
right.
think I think they'll do that, but we'll
Okay.
see.
All
We may,
right.
we may be talking about something different in next week.
Yeah, you definitely have to acknowledge that there is an ongoing investigation and internal discipline or something like that. But school newspapers have been very good historically, sir. Finally, Cooper flags cramping. This is new for you, Will, so I'm going to break this down for our fans. So, Cooper Flag is like the next big thing. And he has been having issues with cramping. And in a win in a game last week, John Shire said openly he's not happy and wants answers. So Flag is the projected number one pick in the draft, and he's just having issues. So Duke turned to a scientist who conducted, sweat tests because Paulo Banquero's had that issue too when he was at Duke. Seems to be an ongoing issue. So I did talk to my wife. She does have an undergraduate degree in this. And she mentioned nutrition. She mentioned diet. She mentioned these things shouldn't happen. So there's a lot to unwind with cramping. and most of it's kind of client based in terms of what
Mhm.
you're putting in your body. So you're on the team, man. What are you advising Duke? Because this is real, and y'all try to win a natty.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm Shire, if I'm Coach Shire, I go get an older teammate, senior, and say, hey, look, you need to really put your arm around this kid and you need to guide him in how he eats, and you need to manage it. I'm not going to be on campus every time seeing him. You are. You'll see him. If you see him with a burger, slap it out of his hand. If you see him with pizza, slap it out of his hand. If he's drinking, slap it out of his hand. Matter of fact, if you catch that, tell me he's running. He's running. Yeah, I'm not super upset with Cooper. You're a young kid. The world is your oyster,
Yeah,
man.
our
People are
boy's
telling you you're
nickname was
good.
Snacks at George Mason. Yes.
Oh yeah, I mean, but that's one of the things. I mean, that's one of the things that we see, especially when the transition from college to pros. A lot of the guys talk about, man, I had to change our diet. Remember John Wall? John Wall used to see, I
Yes.
used to eat McDonald's before every game. That was over when he
That
saw how much
7
money he
11
was making.
diet that doesn't do it.
But
But
you, but do it
Duke
in
has
a
had that
way,
issue though. And they had the Duke medical thing. It's like it's Duke.
yeah. I think you have to put it in a way that makes him understand. It say you have an engine. You're not going to put gunk in your engine. You got to put nutrition and show him different ways to do it. Because when you grow up as a young man, if you're not into cooking or things like that, like especially Cooper Flag, he's all playing basketball. I'm sure he doesn't do many things outside of basketball. Teach him like, man, this is things that you need to look for: chicken, steak,
He's got enough
pasta.
money to hire
Oh yeah,
nutritionists with his NIL deal.
but it's just, hey man, we just won. Y'all trying to go to McDonald's? Man, can we stop here and can we get Chick-fil-A? I love Chick-fil-A. Can we stop? I gotta eat it. You know,
Yeah.
transition that self. Say, hey, why don't you have cheat meals, cheat days? Monday, Wednesday, Friday, game days, you eating clean. Days where you're just kind of off, then you can eat your little junk within reason. So I don't think they're talking. I don't know why they're wasting nobody's time at the doctor and Duke talk about we need to look up and figure out why and da da da. He's looking at like y'all know he ate two Snickers in here, right?
He
He
got
had
candy in his locker.
yeah, he came in with some Sprite. What you mean? So I think it'll something progressively get better as he gets older, as he is informed about how. Because when you're him in high school, eating burgers, eating Chick-fil-A, go drop 35, then leave,
Yeah.
eat another Chick-fil-A or whatever. You don't have the mentality to eat right. And I think now he's playing a lot more games, a lot bigger games in terms of the college court is much longer,
Mhm.
and you're going against big grown men, So there's times when it's like, yeah, you can't just eat in the candies, man. So I think they'll switch it up. I think they'll talk his nutrition, and you'll see an improvement either if not the end of the season or next year, wherever he decides. But I think
All
that's
right. So, fans, in segment three, we are now going to advise the WNBA. You've got this great college season coming up. You've got your own season coming up. Let's help you book this better. We'll be right back on the Eye Coaches Podcast. This is Dr. Keith Adams, president of the CKA Save Project and author of Finding the Balance, my personal journey to academic and athletic success. This book is your key to unlocking the secrets of being a successful student athlete. Drawing from my 30-year career as a teacher and coach, this instructional guide offers a unique perspective on achieving success in both academics and athletics. With over 15 personal stories and insightful antidotes, Finding the Balance is a must-read for student athletes, parents, coaches, teachers, and administrators. Visit www.ckasaveproject.org to get your copy and start finding the balance today. Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast in segment three. Again, I'll leave the rankings alone for a while, but the story of the week, booking the next 6 months for women's college basketball and the WNBA. Building new stars is a premium in any industry, Will, the 2025 WNBA draft lottery is Sunday, November 17th, 5 p.m. on ESPN. The draft lottery will have the Sparks, the Wings, the Sky, and the Mystics. The Golden State Valkyries, the newest WNBA expansion team, will select five. The women's final four will be in Tampa, Florida, April 4th and 6th, and the WNBA draft is currently scheduled to take place Monday, April 14th. So, with that, in the infamous words of Prince Rogers Nelson, baby, I'm a star. We have to develop this talent. So, I'm going to throw out some names to you, and then I'm going to ask Will how he would book it. So, here are the names: Paige Beckers, UConn; Juju Watkins, University of Southern California; Floje Johnson from LSU; Tahina Palpo from South Carolina; Haley Van Leaf, Texas Christian now, third school in like 3 years;
Mm-hmm.
Tania Lotson from FSU; Audie Crooks, Iowa State, like her. So give advice. You got talent from across the country. Man, how are you looking at this if you're the WNBA? Because we still didn't think you capitalized on the Caitlin effect, and you got to build on that. So the pencil is yours, sir, if we're booking.
Oh man, we got to start. We got to start putting them out in front of people. I think you got to start letting know people are playing. That's the thing. Like, you have to show people, like, hey, these people are playing. You can go see them. Um, I just looked up the schedule, and I'm gonna go check out Juju Watkins in January. She's playing Maryland. That's something that the WNBA should be telling people that. Like, hey, you guys should say, like, man, like, go see these kids, go see these games. You know, Paige Buchers. I mean, man, the reason I found out about Paige Buchers in high school, she had a hoop mixtape, and she was killing. She was amazing. I think it's gonna. I think it has to start with the Instagram. That's where the kids see, and we can see, like, oh man, these kids are good. She's nice. Oh man, look at her pass, look at dribble. Start there, grow from there. Now the kids go like, oh well, I know on Instagram. Let me watch them play a game. That's when you start bringing them in. Then you start having those primetime games where it's like Juju Watkins versus such and such. Make it the person, not the team anymore, because you want to focus on that. Because when they do that in football, especially college football, when you have a bad team, they'll start saying like, "Oh, Shador Sanders versus such and such." It's not Colorado versus Colorado State. It's Prime versus da 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 da. It's like
So I've
it's
got
like
to
it's
ask
like
with that, though. The NBA is now being criticized for making it about short clips and so forth, as opposed to stories. So how do you balance that out? So are you saying, and I think rightfully so, the WNBA and women's college basketball needs to build up the individual, where the NBA possibly needs to revert back, build up the teams more? What are you thinking? Because NBA ratings are down and WNBA ratings are up. What are you thinking?
yep. I think they got to call Eric Bischoff. I think they got to call WWF, and they got to talk. And really, I mean, anybody, and I think who took the whole notion of college, and not college, but professional wrestling and its promotion, you can apply that in different ways to make people want to watch. I think they say, hey, if I'm the WNBA and I'm NCAA and I'm like, we want to promote this, who is the best person with pro wrestling? I mean, they're the best promoters, the best. I mean, you have millions and millions of fans of this sport where nobody's really punching nobody, and all the all the results are already calculated. Like, we know who's going to win based on this. Build that in. Teach them how to grow characters. How to there's going they did it for themselves. Caitlin Clark, she became a hero, and Angel Reese, she obviously became a bad guy. It's not bad guy, but the
Yes.
antithesis of who you're going to be, and grow those characters, grow them. You know what I'm saying? Juju, I think she's very nice, but I think there's a character in her that you can really promote.
Yeah, I'd
Um,
like to know her story more. And as we like to say in wrestling, you have to make me care. We don't care
yeah,
who wins or loses as long as there's a butt every 19 inches. So
yeah.
make me want to watch. And then the WNBA also will have, I believe it's called Unrivaled in the fall, where they're going to have 3-on-3 or teams of 3-on-3, and they're going to have like 36 ladies involved in the project. So you got to take advantage of these opportunities.
And
Um,
send them to games. I would also send them to games. If you're playing and if you're in the same area and you have a WNBA going, invite Juju. Have her sit on sideline. Make the camera look at her. Say, look at Juju here. Oh man, on the court. Look, she's looking at where she's gonna play next year, where she's gonna play in the future. Invest in that. If you see them in a town or a city where it's like we can put eyes in the WNBA, do it. But if because you'll never connect with people if you never see them.
Yeah, and I do like the fact that they're good teams across the country. So
Yes.
it's not just one or two teams. There are legitimately in that top 10 teams from the north, south, the east, and the west, with South Carolina leading the way in the south. You got UConn, you got Southern Cal, and now that they're in the Big Ten, they're going to travel across the country, Texas. So those SEC games are going to be great. UCLA is also in the Big Ten. Notre Dame's in the ACC. Iowa State's in the Big 12. So we've got a lot of this, again, big conference kids. It's going to be hard for the little one to sneak in, but this is big girl basketball with these conferences. So should be an exciting season. So on behalf of our captain for life, Will Cotton, I'm Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and or watching the Eye Coaches podcast. And we will see you on the sidelines. Until next time, take care.
The Odd Coaches podcast is sponsored by the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project is an industry leader in providing student-athlete academic and athletic support. From assessing student-athletes' academic and athletic skills to measuring and monitoring student-athlete academic progress to improving student-athlete time management and organizational skills, the CKA Save Project provides wraparound services for student-athletes from middle school through college. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by emailing cka@ckasaveproject.org. We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday through Friday on most weeks. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches podcast on Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube. Follow the Odd Coaches podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Adams on Twitter and Instagram at CKA Save Project. In addition, follow Coach Mike Francis on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Franchise, spelled Coach Franchize. For more information about the CKA Save Project, please visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches Podcast.